the anxiety of like setting up a video like this, like I knew what I wanted to say before I started, and now I'm like, ah. So hi, anyone who's watching. I don't know who that would be. I don't normally do videos like this. I've done some book related stuff in the past. I did some vlogs when I was really young. But I'm kind of going through a like a transitional life struggle period, and it's been really hard. And I wanted to talk about it because I know there are people who are going through a similar thing right now, and I don't know if this is going to be helpful to anyone else who's going through something similar, or just so people can understand what it's like being in the position I'm in right now. Because it's been really tough. Like, I've been through some tough times recently. With COVID, I worked the whole way through the pandemic. Was never furloughed once. After the first lockdown, I actually went off for 3 weeks with stress because I was left all on my own, running a department, while still only being given like 12 to 16 hours a week. So I was coming in and things weren't being done, and it was a big stress. And aside from one very short bout of what I believe to be COVID right at the start, before mass testing was available, we had too much information about what the symptoms were. I've mostly avoided the virus until the 28th of December 2021. Just after Christmas, I came back after seeing my family. Did a couple of shifts, and on my second shift I came down really unwell. So day after was my day off. I immediately did a PCR test. The camera's good, the battery's good. 1 second. Yes, so I took the PCR test. Immediately got my partner to send it off. I was too sick to go out anywhere. And when we got the results back, it was positive. So I wasn't too worried at the time. I had COVID before, my symptoms weren't that severe, it was just like an aggressive cold, flu type situation, and I rode the first sort of 3 or 4 days out quite easily. I was streaming every day. I streamed every day from the day that I went off sick after getting my test result back for the next 2 weeks afterwards. So I was well enough to do that for the first 2 weeks after my positive day. The real concern came when I attempted to return to work. I hadn't been being very active at home when I was sick. I don't like to be active at home. Background on me health-wise, my current diagnosis is hypermobility. I think it's Ehlers-Danlos, but I'm currently being assessed for that. So that is my current theory on what is going on with me, but that's not approved by a doctor yet. Just in case anyone wants to challenge that. And so I struggle to be active. I also have depression, anxiety, CPTSD, and ADHD. So sticking to structure is really hard for me, and sometimes motivating myself to get out of bed, even rather than doing any kind of physical activity, is hard. Especially with like the chronic pain. My hypermobility causes pain mostly in my lower joints. My knees and my ankles especially are really bad. But it's recently started spreading to my upper body as well. And so I hadn't been very active. I was off sick. I was streaming every day. I was having fun streaming every day. and I was settling into it. It was a new hobby that I picked up, and I was making friends, and so I kind of put all my energy into that. And when I returned to work, I didn't realise how fatigued I was when I was given any kind of physical activity to do. So that first shift I did was a 9-hour shift on my own. I had 4 or 5 energy drinks that day, which is way more than I should have had. I had a commitment to stream that night, and also, it was my first day back at work. It was a 9-hour shift. They're always exhausting, particularly with my pre-existing conditions. So I wasn't really surprised by how tired I was and the fact that I was reliant upon the caffeine. So the real problem came the next day. So I came into work the next day. It was only a 5-hour shift. I still did have a Red Bull because I had kind of like caffeine hangover type deal, or what I thought was that. Very fatigued and feeling very tired. And it was on this day that I noticed the brain fog really badly. I was having to interact with a colleague, my manager, constantly for tasks, and getting feedback from them. They'd been off for a while, so they were asking me questions. I didn't have answers because I'd just come back off of sickness. So it was a very stressful mentally shift, and also physically exerting. My job is very physical. So I didn't realise it was really starting to creep up on me, and about an hour into my shift I started to notice the energy crash really, really hard. I was stumbling, I couldn't keep my thoughts straight, I was like having to loop back 3 or 4 times to a task to know what I was doing. And then eventually I just kind of collapsed. Like the whole room was spinning. I felt like I was going to throw up. I couldn't like string my words together. It was really, really scary, and my chest was hurting. So I tried calling my manager through the headset, no response. So I had to phone the work phone to the office and hope and pray that a manager was in there. The store manager was. He came down, spoke to me. At first wasn't convinced there was anything wrong with me. Went back upstairs, another manager came and saw me and was concerned, and then they went up and spoke to the store manager and got me sent home. Because I was not recovering after 20 minutes, half an hour of being told just wait it out and see how it goes. So I got sent home. I took almost another week off where the brain fog was progressively getting worse. It started to affect my streaming schedule. This week I was very spotty with my streams. And this was why, is because I was oversleeping. I was napping during the day and oversleeping into my stream time. When I was streaming, I wasn't really feeling it. I was getting easily frustrated because my brain was not working in the way it normally does. And I started to get really concerned because I was not convinced it was COVID related at that point. Because I had only had COVID symptoms in my eyes for the first 4 or 5 days of my 10-day isolation. And after that, I had been, well, at home, at rest, I did not feel that unwell. And so, I thought something else was wrong with me. I thought that there was something else going on that, needed to be looked into. I spoke to my doctor once. They said it's probably a stomach bug. That's just, because I wasn't vomiting, I was just feeling nauseous. They said it's probably just in your lower digestive tract, so it's going to take a bit longer to pass. If it's not gone in a week, then let us know. I said, okay. Tried to rest. Kept getting worse. Phoned the doctor back again, and this time I was more concerned about the dizziness and the brain fog and the not feeling fully conscious all the time. She told me that maybe it's vertigo, caused by an ear infection, can be triggered by a virus. Take some nauseous suppressants and then you should be fine. So I did that. Took some motion sickness tablets, which is what they told me to take. Went back to work. Thought, okay, great, this is going to fix it. I'm going to be perfect. I can go back to work now because I was feeling the pressure at that point. We're on a very small department. I'm one of the more experienced members of staff at this point, and I felt like especially after being off 10 days of COVID, and our manager only just got back from a holiday time over Christmas. Everything was a bit chaotic, and I felt like I needed to be back there. This is a problem I've had with my work for a long time. They pay me minimum wage. It's expected that I care when I'm at work, but when I'm home, or I'm sick, or I'm on holiday, I can't turn off. I'm not a manager. I am the basic level part-time employee, but I can't turn off. I have this problem where I always want to do. I'm short of breath. I always want to do more than I necessarily need to. And I'm going to get into that. I think I'm going to do a separate video about that because that's related to my ADHD and my sense of self-worth and self-identity. And I'm realising when I decided to film this video, there's a lot of other things I want to talk about in relation to neurodivergence and disability. But I will come to that at a different time because it's not what I'm here to talk about now. I've completely lost my train of thought. ADHD and brain fog is a deadly combination. What was I talking about? Fuck. Oh yeah, I was feeling the pressure to go back to work. So I went back to work. And I think this time it was the same shift that I went back to work. About 2 hours in, I went for my break. I was only on a 5-hour shift, I only had a 15-minute break. And I was feeling really dizzy. I had the brain fog really bad. I was snapping at my manager, which is not a good thing. They don't deserve to be snapped at just because I'm not feeling well. And I was panicking. At that point I'm panicking because I'm 24 years old and I feel like I'm losing the plot. And so, after some tears and some panic, I spoke to my manager and explained that's how I was feeling, and I was really struggling, and I was getting really worried. And I was on the verge of tears. I'd already cried, and I was on the verge of crying again. He sent me home, said to take the weekend off, and then to phone him on Monday, and I've been off since then. Spoke to my doctor yesterday, and they concurred with my opinion that I'd reached at that point, that this is probably long COVID. It sounds like long COVID. Because I wasn't seeing that initially because I saw a break in my symptoms. I don't know whether that's something that other people have noticed, that they appeared to have recovered and then the symptoms have come back in some form, whether they're different or the same. But it was kind of a delay for me realising what was wrong. Spoke to my doctor and they agreed that it's probably long COVID and I'd probably pushed myself too hard to return to work. And I aggravated it by returning to work too early and pushing myself too hard. And I've pushed myself backwards so far that I now need to take another 2 weeks off solid. They've signed me off for that, and then when I am clear to return to work, it will probably have to be a phased return or a limited hours return, which has been hard to come to terms with. Like, I knew that long COVID was a thing, I knew it was a risk. I didn't realise how high of a risk and how many people it affected, who tested positive. And I never, obviously I don't think you ever think of yourself as being one of that number, right? If it's a minority of people, you're never going to think that you're going to be one of them. And it honestly, like the main thing is that it's just really, really scary because my doctor's telling me, oh, chances are you'll be seeing signs of recovery soon, and I think that because I do think that I've pushed myself too hard, and that's aggravated the symptoms. But even since I've been off on Saturday, I've noticed I'm continuing to backslide. That's probably stress of like trying to come to terms with just the fact that this is happening. This is a real thing in my life that I'm going through right now. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to like start talking about how it's affecting me, because it's been really difficult. Like I'm worried about money and paying the bills. I'm worried about Rain having to look after me and how I'm impacting her education, because I can do some things for myself, but I'm very, very limited on what I'm able to do for myself at the moment. Like even things like preparing a meal for myself is like almost off the table, because I don't trust myself with the brain fog, and just having the energy to get up and do that is really, really difficult. I think that the hardest part for me emotionally right now is the fact that it's affecting my stream still. I want to do longer streams. I want to really, really grind this out. Because I'm at home, right? This is probably a bad mindset to have, but I'm at home, and I feel like I should be using this time productively, because it is my ultimate goal eventually to be self-employed. I run a small card trading sole trader thing with my partner. I'm streaming on Twitch now. I have a second business related to writing projects that's in the works right now that I really need to press on with. There are several different things that I could do for income aside from my current job, which is physically strenuous on my body and is causing me damage. But I acknowledge that I need to be making time for rest as a priority, and if I feel able and I want to do a bit of work on the business or a stream, that I can do that, but rest needs to be the priority, and I can't be letting streaming or like doing business stuff or catching up on like household chores impact that. But I find it really hard to be at rest. It's one of the reasons why I started streaming, is I find it really difficult to be at rest. And so things like video games are hard for me to do when I'm not putting some sort of work element to it. Even if I'm not earning any money from Twitch, I'm still building an audience and a backlog and a product at the end of it that I can say I made this, I know that I've put 3 hours into a stream and I can upload that footage as a VOD and it's not wasted time. Whereas if I just sat and played a video game for 6 hours on my own, I feel like it's a waste. And that is something I need to work through. Again, this is going to be talking about more when I get into more about my ADD and how that's affected me. But I find it really hard. And that's why I'm finding it psychologically so difficult with this condition, is because it is forcing me to rest. I don't feel like I have a choice to rest. It's just my body will just tell me, I am done, you need to sleep now. If I try and force myself to wake at a specific time, it will not answer me. It decides it wants to rest, and it's frustrating my brain. And obviously I know that there are people out there with probably more severe long COVID symptoms than me. But like, that's the point. Is the fact that if I feel like I'm in living hell right now, somebody who has more severe symptoms than me has got to be feeling 10 times worse mentally. And a lot of people like to use this argument about mental health in regards to COVID and how it's important that we return to normal and, you know, we're not wearing masks and we're not doing any more lockdowns and we're going to all those social events and those concerts and like I can see their point to an extent, and eventually like, you can't deny yourself every single experience in life out of fear of a virus, but at the same time it's an inconvenient truth for those people that for people like me, getting COVID is negatively impacting my mental health. And I know for people who have been like 22 months deep into long COVID, feel completely debilitated, like can't get out of bed most days. Like, I can't imagine what that would do to someone's mental health. And so there has to be a balance to it. You have to be considering both sides to it. And at the moment, I think too many people are too willing to throw caution to the wind and just say, I'm not going to wear a mask anymore, I'm not getting any more boosters, I'm going to go and do whatever I want, meet with whoever I want, because we can't live like this forever. And I don't think we have a choice. I think this is just how we are going to have to live. And we have to find our own balance as a society. But I don't think that the way we're going about it is good. And there are a lot more qualified people to talk about this, particularly when it comes to the impact on people with pre-existing conditions in the disabled community. There are definitely resources out there that can explain it better than me. But the fact that so many people are willing to put a concert, a party, their freedom to not wear a mask over their face in a crowded area over the lives of thousands of disabled people who are at higher risk is frankly disgusting, and it's incredibly dehumanizing to those people who have a right to live. Right? Like, at no point is anyone trying to say that they don't have a right to live. But that's kind of what society is telling them, and our governments are telling them, and our health service is telling them. It's not right. This is getting rambly now because this is what I mean by it's just been really difficult because there's a lot I need to process. But I do think it's important to talk about long COVID because the medical community is still scrambling to understand it. The doctor likes to put it in a nice way of, we're learning new things every day, but they can offer me no treatment options, and basically are just shrugging and saying, it should go away, it might go away, which when I'm in this deep of a panic and a depression, is not what I want to hear, but I know it's the truth, which is basically that they don't know what's in store for me in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I don't know what's in store for me. So I'm gonna have to just roll with the punches. I don't know. It's a tough one. But you just kind of have to get by. I didn't make this video just to ask for help, but if you do want to help me get through this a little easier, there are multiple ways you can do that. I'm very close to Twitch affiliate, so if you can follow me on Twitch, drop by a stream. I'm really close. and I'd appreciate it a lot. At the moment, I'm streaming almost every day, at least for a couple of hours, 7 p.m. GMT. I also have a Ko-fi that will be for the writing project. Eventually, I have a lot of the tiers set up. They're not active yet because I don't have the content ready. So once the content's ready, that's what it will be being used for. But right now, it's an option if you want to just donate through Ko-fi. That would help out a lot with the costs of just like keeping the lights on. But we will find a way to get by. It's just going to be a really tough couple of months. I'm just worried it doesn't continue past that, and that after this, it's 2 weeks I've been signed off for now, I can find my way back to work at reduced hours and then work up from there and go back to normal. But at least for this month and probably next month, it's going to be tough. So if you got this far, thanks. It's been kind of a mess, but I think it's been good just to start that conversation off, get things off my chest. But yeah, I'll leave a link to all my socials down in the description where you can find me. If you want to hear more about my thoughts and my inner monologue about disability and neurodivergence and how that's affected me in this situation, but also in situations in general, then that'll be coming hopefully soon. Maybe not. Maybe it'll take me weeks to film. Maybe this will take me months to edit, and you won't see it for another 2 years. I hope not. I hope things are going better for you. I really do. And yeah, I'll see you at some point somewhere, whether that's on Twitch or on Twitter or in the comment section or in the next video. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for giving me your time. And goodbye.